The office building of Rossi and Company Holdings never slept. At 10:47 p.m., the marble halls still echoed with heels and murmurs, shadows of power moving behind glass walls. Elena hadn't meant to stay this late. She was just a financial analyst, invisible most days, blending into the numbers she wrote. But tonight, the system crashed, and she stayed back to fix the quarterly report no one else cared to touch. Her reflection in the elevator door looked tired. Loose bun, ink on her fingers, blouse slightly wrinkled, the look of a woman who worked too hard and hoped too little. The door slid open, and there he was, Adrian Moretti. The name itself felt like a whisper people said carefully. CEO, billionaire, rumored Mafia bloodline that the media pretended didn't exist. Every meeting he entered felt like the temperature dropped 10 degrees, controlled, unreadable, terrifyingly composed. He glanced up from his phone as she stepped in. Elena. For her heart nearly stopped. He knew her name? Mr. Moretti, she managed, pressing the button for the ground floor. He nodded faintly. His gaze flicked to the stack of papers in her arms. Working late again? Yes, sir. The audit system went down. His lips curved. Not quite a smile. You're the only one who stays to fix it. It's part of the job. The elevator doors closed. And then the world jolted. The lights flickered once, twice, and everything froze. A sharp hum filled the silence. The elevator stopped dead between floors. Elena grabbed the railing, heart pounding. Oh my God! Adrian reached for the emergency button. Nothing. He pressed again. Dead silence. He muttered something under his breath. Italian, low and sharp. Then he took out his phone. No signal. Perfect, he said dryly. She forced a nervous laugh. This can't be happening. He looked at her. Calm, unreadable. It's happening. For a moment the only sound was the faint buzz of emergency lighting. Elena backed up against the wall, hugging her papers. We'll be rescued soon, right? He tilted his head, listening. The security team will notice in a few minutes. Don't worry. Right, she said softly, trying to steady her breathing. He glanced down at his watch. Relax. You're safe. Something about the way he said it made her believe him. Minutes passed. 5, 10, 15. The air grew warmer, heavier. Elena fanned herself with a folder. This is kind of surreal. Being stuck in a box with your boss? He asked, tone amused. She smiled nervously. Something like that. He leaned back against the wall, sleeves rolled up, his tie slightly loosened. The dim emergency lights cast shadows across his jawline, sharp and defined. Elena looked away quickly, pretending to reread a paper that made no sense anymore. You're uncomfortable, he said quietly. No, She hesitated. Okay, maybe a little. He chuckled under his breath. It's all right. You're not the first person who's found me intimidating. She looked up at him, surprised. You're aware of that? I built my empire on it. There was something about the way he said it, confident but lonely. She tilted her head. That sounds exhausting. His brow arched. Exhausting? Yeah. Pretending all the time, controlling every breath. You must get tired. He stared at her for a long moment, as if no one had ever dared to say that to him before. Then, unexpectedly, he smiled. You have no idea. The air thickened with quiet. The elevator was small, too small for the space between them. Every time she shifted, her arm brushed his. The warmth made her chest tighten. So, she said softly, trying to distract herself. What do you do when you're not terrifying your employees? Read, work out, travel, make enemies. She laughed, despite herself. You're serious. He gave a half smile, mostly. No family, not anymore. She nodded, sensing the weight behind his words. Sorry, I didn't mean it's fine, he cut in gently. You didn't know. 25 minutes. Still no rescue. Adrian had removed his jacket and set it neatly aside. His white shirt clung slightly at the sleeves. Elena sat on the floor, hugging her knees, papers now forgotten. "You should sit," she said. "Standing won't make it move faster." Ibrishi. He gave a small nod and sat across from her, long legs folded easily. "You're calm," he observed. "I'm pretending," she admitted with a laugh. "Inside, I'm panicking." "Ibrithe," he smirked. "You hide it well." The tension between them shifted. Not sharp anymore, but magnetic. "Can I ask you something?" she said after a moment. "Anything? Why are you really here this late? CEOs don't fix reports." He hesitated. "I don't like empty penthouses." She blinked. "That's honest." "Bree," he shrugged lightly. "Honest easier in a box with no exits." "Hey, Bree." Her chest tightened at his words. "That's kind of sad." Maybe," he said softly, "but you get used to it." Bree, the elevator lights flickered again. She sighed. Still nothing. "How long do you think it's been?" He glanced at his watch. 40 minutes. Abra, her eyes widened. "Seriously?" Abra went where he nodded. "Relax. People don't die from waiting." "Maybe not," she said, "but they go crazy." "Abra, see, then talk to me," he said simply. "Keep your mind busy." "Prefer." She smiled faintly. "You first." Abra, he looked at her, a faint smirk ghosting his lips. "I don't do small talk. Abra, then do big talk." He chuckled quietly, and something in his expression softened. "You remind me of someone," he said suddenly. She blinked. "Who?" "Fool. Fouls my strong mother. She used to speak the same way, straight to the truth." Elena smiled gently. "Sounds like a strong woman. She was." He paused. "Until someone decided she was too strong." Erbrer, her smile faded. "I'm sorry." Erbrer, he shrugged, eyes distant. "It's part of the business." "Hebrew for part of my past," he said. "But I live with the consequences." She didn't ask more, she just nodded, understanding the silence that followed. An hour had passed. Her phone battery died. His watch ticked softly. He glanced at her. "You're quiet." "Ibrewi, just thinking," she murmured. "About what?" "How strange it feels," she said, "being trapped in a metal box and feeling safer than I have all week." He turned his head slowly toward her. There it was. The shift. The air changed. "Elena," he said softly, "you shouldn't say things like that." "Seabree." "Why not?" she asked, her voice almost a whisper. "Because I might believe you." The tension cracked like glass. They sat in silence, the kind that hums in the air, alive, electric. Her pulse raced. She didn't know if it was fear or something else. "You look like you want to say something," she murmured. "I do," he said. "Then say it." "Hebrew," he exhaled slowly. "You make me forget who I am." "Hebrew." Her breath caught. "That's not a bad thing." "It is," he whispered. "For a man like me." Habrahi, the lights flickered again, this time brighter. The elevator groaned, power struggling to return. Elena swallowed hard, her voice trembling. "Guess we'll be out soon." He looked at her, really looked at her. "And then what?" "Hebrew, what do you mean?" "Hebrew, do we just walk out like nothing happened?" She blinked. "Did something happen?" "You tell me." "Hebrew." The elevator hummed softly again, lights dimming and brightening in a rhythm that made time blur. Elena couldn't tell if they had been there for an hour or two. Her legs ached. Her heartbeat matched the sound of electricity pulsing through the walls. Adrian sat across from her, elbows on his knees, staring at the metal floor like it was easier to face than her. Every few seconds his eyes lifted, meeting hers, only to drop again. There was something dangerous about silence when it lasted too long between two people who didn't know what to do with what they were feeling. She drew a slow breath, trying to ease the tightness in her chest. "You ever get tired of it?" she asked softly. He looked up. "Of what?" "Feber, the power, the control, the weight of always being in charge." Ibriger, a ghost of a smile touched his lips. "You think I'm in control of everything?" "Hebrew, you seem like it." February, he leaned back, gaze still on her. Then I'm good at pretending. The air grew warmer. Her heart raced faster than it should have. She wished she could look away, but something about his eyes pinned her there. Steel and sadness mixed with something human, something real. He spoke again, voice quieter now. I wasn't supposed to end up like this. None of us are. You mean the rumors? She asked carefully. He didn't answer right away. My father wanted out of that world. I didn't. I wanted control. I thought power would make me safe. It didn't. Abra, she nodded slowly. It never does. He raised an eyebrow. You sound like you've learned that the hard way. She smiled. Just barely. We all have stories, Mr. Moretti. Ebrick Adrian, he said. You can call me Adrian, at least while we're trapped in here. Her voice softened. All right, Adrian. Her lips curved around the name and something shifted in him, something small but unmistakable. He looked at her differently now. Not as an employee, not as a stranger, something in between. She rubbed her hands together, nerves creeping in again. It's getting warmer. Abra, he unbuttoned his cuff, rolling up his sleeves higher. You're overheating. Take deep breaths. I'm fine, she said. But her voice betrayed her. He stood and pressed his hand to the panel above them, searching for a vent. The muscles in his arm flexed with each movement, veins tracing up his forearm. The dim light made everything feel too close, too sharp. You shouldn't overexert yourself, she said softly. He glanced down. Worried? Fabber maybe. Ibermefree, he smirked. You don't have to be. Abraham can't help it. Can't help it. For something in the way she said it made him pause. He held her gaze for a heartbeat longer than necessary before lowering his hand. They stood there, inches apart now. She could smell his cologne, wood, smoke, and something faintly citrus beneath it. He breathed slowly, Ayebreke flicking to her lips and back. Her pulse stumbled. You're staring. Pre-Britty, he gave a faint laugh. I was just thinking, Eber, that I've never been this close to someone without wanting to leave first. Her breath caught. Probably not something you should say to an employee. He stepped back slightly, the edge of a smile still ghosting his lips. Probably not. Eber silence again, but this time it wasn't empty. It pulsed. Minutes stretched. The sound of the world outside felt distant, unreal. He finally sat again, resting his head against the wall. You don't scare easily, do you? Aberfi, she tilted her head. Should I? I've been called dangerous. Aberfi, I've seen danger. You don't look like it right now. Aberfi, he gave a soft laugh. Careful, Elena. That sounds like flirting. She blushed, but didn't look away. Maybe it is. His jaw tightened as if fighting something invisible. You have no idea what that does to me. The words hung between them, sharp and quiet. Her throat went dry. He turned away first, breathing out through his nose. This is ridiculous. You shouldn't have to be stuck here with me. Maybe it's exactly where I'm supposed to be, she said before she could stop herself. He looked back slowly, eyes darker now, searching hers. You don't mean that. Bruffy, I do, she whispered. Because for the first time, you're not the boss, and I'm not the employee. We're just two people trying to breathe in the same small space. Eber, he stared at her, expression unreadable. Then his voice dropped to something almost fragile. You really see me like that? She nodded. I don't think you're as cold as you want people to believe. Eber, he didn't move for a long time. Then, slowly, he reached out and brushed a loose strand of hair from her face. His touch was careful, almost hesitant, like he was afraid she might disappear if he touched her too roughly. Her eyes fluttered closed for a second when she opened them. He was still watching her, his thumb lingering just long enough to make her heart skip. He pulled back a little. You're making this very hard to ignore. I'm not doing anything, she murmured. That's the problem, he said, voice rougher now. You don't have to. The air between them was charged. The sound of the building, faintly beneath their feet, filled the silence. She tried to steady her voice. You're used to control. Maybe this time you don't need it. Ibrahim looked at her, almost in disbelief. You really aren't afraid of me. I think she said quietly. You're the one who's afraid. Ibri, he almost smiled. Of what? Of feeling something real. The silence that followed felt like gravity itself. His breathing deepened. Her pulse answered it. The elevator light flickered once again, throwing shadows across his face. Maybe you're right, he said finally. Maybe I am, she replied. He leaned his head back against the wall, closing his eyes. Your trouble, Elena. Maybe you need a little trouble, she said. He laughed under his breath. You have no idea. They both smiled then, the kind of smile that carried too much meaning to be safe. Time passed quietly. She didn't know how long, maybe another 30 minutes. She shifted slightly, and the motion brought her closer. Her shoulder brushed his. He didn't move away. The contact sent a shiver through her. She looked up, catching the faintest glint of warmth in his eyes. He spoke first. You're trembling. It's the air conditioning, she lied. He smirked. There is no air conditioning. Then maybe it's you, she whispered. His breath caught for just a moment, barely audible. Then he looked away again, exhaling slowly. The hum of the elevator filled the space again. When he finally spoke, his voice was softer than she'd ever heard it. If we ever get out of here, promise me one thing. Hebrew for what? Hebrew, don't look at me the same way you're looking at me now. Why not? Hebrew, because I might not be able to look away. Hebrew, the words hit her like a heartbeat. She wanted to answer, but the elevator groaned suddenly, jerking slightly. Her hand shot out, grabbing his arm instinctively. His muscles tensed beneath her fingers. He steadied her immediately, hands firm on her waist. You're okay, he murmured. She nodded, but her voice caught. You can let go now. Abercy didn't. She whispered. He finally met her eyes. The moment stretched so thin it might have broken if either of them breathed too loudly. Then the elevator jerked again, and the lights flickered back to life, fully this time. They both exhaled at once, the spell broken but not gone. He stepped back, running a hand through his hair. Looks like it's almost over. Ibrahim, she said quietly. Almost. The speaker crackled suddenly. Mr. Moretti? Miss Alvarez? Are you both all right? We're getting you out in 5 minutes. Elena blinked, almost surprised to hear another voice. Adrian looked down at her, voice low. Guess time's up. Seems like it, she said softly. He hesitated for a moment, then added, It's strange. 2 hours, that's all it took. For what? Ibrahim, for you to make me forget everything I was supposed to be. Her breath caught again, but before she could respond, the elevator doors began to shift and creak open. The light from the hallway spilled into the elevator like morning breaking through storm clouds. Elena blinked against it, heart thudding as the doors slid fully open. For a moment she didn't move. Neither did he. The world outside suddenly felt too big, too loud, too normal. Ladies first, he said finally, voice low, composed again, like the man she knew before the elevator stopped. The mask was back, perfectly fitted, calm and unreadable. She forced a small nod and stepped forward. Her legs felt unsteady, her chest strangely hollow. When she turned back, he was still standing inside, hands in his pockets, eyes following her with that same quiet intensity that had filled every moment in the dark. She didn't say anything, neither did he. It was better that way. The maintenance crew met them, apologies spilling, fussing over technical errors, system malfunctions, safety reports. She barely heard them. Every word bounced off the surface of something much deeper happening inside her. Adrian gave short answers, his usual curt tone back in place. He didn't look at her again, not until they reached the lobby. Then, as the others drifted away, he finally turned. You all right? He asked, the edge of concern hiding beneath his casual tone. I think so, she said softly. You? Ibrahim smiled faintly. I'll survive. The pause stretched. It would have been easy to walk away then, to let it end where logic said it should. But neither of them moved. Elena's voice broke the silence. So, what happens now?